today will be just a special day for me, a special day for you. I'm certain of it. I get the privilege of being with Hayk Tadevosyan. And that's pretty good, right? Tadevosyan.
You hit the nail on the head.
I had to learn that at the expense of going in the pool if I got it wrong. So it's Hayk. I've had the privilege of interviewing your younger brother Albert right in this chair, and both of you getting dates down to do this. I don't know how to thank you enough for making the time, first of all, because there's a million places you could be, but the world needs to know how you think, what you're about. So thank you for being here.
It's an honor to be here. Thanks for the invite.
I want you to start this story as a child and the influences, the life, the young man that started putting some pieces together. Tell me what those pieces look like.
You know how, life experiences give us filters of how we view the world. And I don't know when, Greg, this was probably, there was a point in my life I was going through this self-help phase of Hayk. I was reading all the Jim Collins, all the John Maxwell's, all the Zig Ziglar, you name it.
Right.
All the mentors, the boomers that kind of put the foundation of America. And then the idea of an immigrant to come to America was to be Americanized. And what was the Americanized? It's the American dream. You come here, you work ethically, you don't go against man's and God's laws. You can have a couple of nice cars, nice home, and have a good life. Well, that's not really the case. In Armenia, where I was born, with the collapse of Soviet Union, middle class was wiped away. So it was very common to have somebody's dad to go to Russia or some in Spain, to different countries to send money back home to feed the family, because there was, unless you were connected, knew people, knew the bribing system, and knew the racketeers and the mob, like you couldn't really do well. Like that's why the American dream was very popular, or just going outside of Armenia, right? So I was raised in that kind of an environment, and I'll jump into the story, but I want to share this analogy that came to my life. It's the heroes versus villains. Because your life builds a story, and you have to be very careful what you allow the story to do to you. And I've been on both sides of this story, where if you look at any superhero like Superman, and there's like Lex Luthor, there's Batman, there's Joker, there's always opposition, right? But if you look at the core fundamentals of the story of a hero and a villain, they're the same. The origin story. Something happened during childhood years. Got taken away from home planet, parents got killed, some post-traumatic stress disorder scenario where the hero goes, oh, wow, that really hurt. I will save this world so nobody feels the pain.
Right.
And then same thing happens with the villain, right? Some PTSD, parents get killed, taken away from home planet, something bad, and the hero goes, wow, that really hurt. I'm going to hurt the world so everybody feels my pain.
Right.
And you take the same story, and it's like, we all have a story, but what do we do with it? And my story, again, I've told it many times, and I feel like I'm telling it differently at every time. And with you, it's a little bit special and different because I got to spend so much time with you at Power Players in Arizona. Greg, I feel like I know you a lot more than I should for what we spent, 30 hours together?
Yeah, right.
But I heard you speak, and I could relate. So I think I'll tell you the story from, I think, what would resonate with you better, and I think I can go a little bit deeper with you. Born Armenia, age 6, my dad announces that we're moving to Russia. And at this point, Armenian kid, I don't speak Russian, I don't speak a second language. So we go and I actually start pre-K in Russian school. And I remember, if that's even a term, I know Americanized is a term, Russianized. Within 3 years, I learned how to speak Russian. And back in the day, I remember starting school, first grade in Russia. There's no racism in Russia because there's no other race than Russians in the Russian school. Right. I remember where we went to school, first day I got in the fight because there was a term kids were calling me. It's Chernozady. Chernozady translates black butt. And I remember kids, again, I'm the only brown skin, black hair, just brown eyes, and I'm getting picked on. And eventually I get Russianized. As in I start thinking in Russian, I fit in with the kids. The kid I got into the very first fight with, and I kept fighting with him, I became best friends with. His name is Ilya. And then finally everything is going well. Seems my dad's job is doing well. We have good food. We have ice cream on Sundays. We get to, enjoy get-togethers. And my dad announces we're moving back to Armenia. Some gang-related activity in Russia where they wouldn't allow my dad to do business. We had to go back to Armenia. And I remember now I'm in third grade thinking to myself, oh, great, let's start this again. And I remember like certain things I don't remember at all, but certain things I remember like very vividly. And I remember I was thinking in Russian at this point. Like my thoughts have changed into Russian. So we go back to Armenia, third grade. Now I'm like this odd Armenian kid in an Armenian school where everybody's Armenian. Right. And again, I kind of go through this difficulty fitting in with the kids. And eventually I do become friends with everybody. Sixth grade, my dad comes to me, says, son, we're moving again. This time it's just me and you. And I'm like, what do you mean it's me and you? He goes, well, we won the lottery. It is a lottery to come to America. And he says, me and you're going to go to America. We're going to kind of figure things out. Then we'll bring the rest of the family to U.S. At the time, my brother, which you've interviewed, he's 5 years younger than me. My sister, 2 years older. And my mom, they were going to just stay behind in Armenia. And we're going to kind of figure it out. No business plan, no preparation. Yeah, people had this story, we came to America with $50 in our pockets. Well, we didn't have $50. My dad had a few thousand, which was spent right away, as you can imagine.
Right.
So same thing, came to America, start from scratch. Here, it was a little bit different because America is very welcoming to the immigrants.
12 years old, roughly?
13.
13. At that time of life, too.
Yeah. And, for what I thought might be a short separation, but, 13 is your first teenage year.
Yeah.
Right? And what I thought would be, 6 months to a year, was separated from my mom, my brother, and my sister for 7 years. So for my entire teenage years from 13 to 20, I didn't see my family. It was just me and my dad, homeless, living on the roll-up mattress that we got from Goodwill. I remember that mattress. If people would let us sleep at their apartments, we would roll it down and sleep on the floor. As you can imagine, I'm telling a story as a narrative, as in a origin story of like, what did this story do to a kid and his understanding of money?
Sleeping with your dad on a mattress on the floor at 14, 15, 16, 17, high school years. Yeah, you can't even get your head around it if you try. Yeah. What came of that? What that's foundational. But like you said, how does the story play out?
I was ashamed to tell the story for years. I just kept it in, didn't say anything to anybody, but I dealt with a lot of that. I don't want to call it trauma or anxiety, but in a way it was because I don't want to call it villainy, but I wasn't really doing anything good with it either. So sometimes it's like, wait, I'm not doing anything bad, but you're not doing anything good. And opposite of good is bad. There's no middle, right? And I always use this example. Like you take a cup of water, you fill it up with, halfway. Well, what's the opposite half? It's air. Well, if you can't add more water, how do you get rid of the air? You have to get very creative. Like, I can pay Elon Musk to take you to space and vacuum suck out the air. Like, you have to get very creative, but the simplest way is you add more water. So if you don't do more of the positive, like it or not, you're doing the negative, right? There's no made up middle.
Right.
And so I wasn't doing anything good with it. And, as I kind of pursued the American dream, I got into the self-help industry and I started, reading a lot of books, and I started doing some things like, opened up a business, got into the insurance world, and I was doing okay. But it's like, I'm doing whatever, this American dream talks about. I started a business, I'm reading the books, I'm waking up early. But how you do anything is how you do everything, right? So there was nothing worth speaking about, talking about. Nobody was asking me to share lessons. There was nothing worth writing about. I was kind of, sort of, not living the dream, but I was in America.
Was there a significant upgrade, though, that you remember from you and Dad in a friend's apartment on the mattress to even just your own apartment, was there some place where you thought, I'm making headway, even though it was a small step? Was it the self-help? Did it get you moving in any direction, your pursuits in that area?
Oh, absolutely, Greg. It did. I think I had unhealthy relationship to like money. Because like we had to do everything possible to send extra $100 back home.
Right.
Because the difference between sending 100 and 200, it was the difference between family in Armenia eating bread only, bread with cheese, and then bread with cheese and some meat. You know, so, I mean, from 13, like there was no skipping work. Like anything was given, you do. You know, construction jobs. My dad took me with him. I remember there was a Russian family that owned pizzerias. We would go and they couldn't really give us work because, you know, we didn't speak English. There's not much we could do. They would give us stacks of marketing material. We had to go and take the Scotch tape and then glue it on mailboxes, cleaning, janitorial jobs. And I had to go with him because it was kind of like the thing you had to do. And as a kid, I was attached to my dad. It was school. And after school, I would play basketball. And often I would skip. And evening, my dad would get some jobs to paint, to do some construction. I would go with him. So a lot of valuable lessons there, Greg. As in, I'm not really doing this for happiness. Like that's when I see like the modern day youth talk about work-life balance and I just want to be, you know, I just want to do something that gives me passion. I kind of laugh. I'm like, you know, if I was only given that choice, you know, and I really believe like one of the lessons I learned over that 7 year, even way past that, you know, things weren't that easy when family finally came to America because some of the best lessons in life, I think they come in threes. A black eye, a broken heart, and empty pockets. Hopefully not all three at once. But there's something special about being punched in the face and realizing the only thing you could do next time to prevent it from happening is not have mommy and daddy helping you with it, is you defending it yourself.
Right.
You know, the empty pockets, you realize you got to fill that up yourself. And if you got a broken heart, you better learn to be tough because if you're soft, that next broken heart might wipe you out.
Right.
So again, with those lessons, going to sleep, waking up, and I realized like nobody's coming to save you. No one cares about how you feel. You got to figure this American thing out yourself, Hayk. Like dad's not doing it for you. Mom's not doing it for you. As a matter of fact, oh, you miss your mom? And I was a mommy's boy. I actually remember for first like few months, and again, this is something took a year for me to go public with, I cried myself to sleep.
Yeah.
Every night. And I remember there was one night, I don't remember where, this whole thing was like a oatmeal of memories, right? There was one night I remember I just felt good. I didn't cry. Like a few months.
I made it a night.
Oh, this was a good day. I didn't cry myself to sleep. And you know, just kind of blur and then moved on. And I got very good at being opportunistic. And as in, like, if something comes your way, you grab it by the horns. Like pitbull-like grip on, you know, the contracting business my dad were involved with. Like, I was very in because I had to make sure that it generated money to support the family. And again, I feel like for the longest time I victimized myself. It's happening to me.
Right.
And if I ask myself today, you know, today I'm very blessed to go speak around the country and coach and mentor business owners. And one shift that happened from, I feel like, villainy, where again, this is happening to me. It's not for the immigrant. I'm never going to do well. I'm going to do okay. To now, I feel like I'm living every bit of the American dream. Is none of that, Greg, happened to me. It was happening for me. My religious side always says, I asked God for this. So he threw the black eye, the empty pockets, and the broken heart all at once. He says, well, you want this, right? You want to live a good life. You want to have the nice cars. You want to have the nice homes.
Here you go, Job. I'm going to hand it to you.
Yeah, here you go. I'm testing you out. Do you really want it? And I think a lot of people do ask for things, but they're not agreeing with the methods in many ways. Like you go to a gym and you ask a good coach, like, I would like to squat 1,000 pounds. A good coach will not put that on your back right away.
Right.
He'll break you. Right. And I think for my faith side says, you know, you want to have a good mission in life. I'm going to build you up, but it's going to hurt. You're going to be sore. In many ways, it was happening for me. I think that was the transition going from not villain, but technically villainy because I wasn't doing anything good. Now I get to coach, mentor, help, and do all kinds of things with the lessons along the way. And I realized it all happened for me.
These are the lessons. I want to insert something, Hayk. I think those who are listening already, if you're not in a place to sit down and get out a notepad, hit pause because you get a feeling already that every second is going to be filled with challenging thoughts. We're going to get to the book you've written. You take this very seriously. And so this is one of these podcasts that right out of the gate, we're not even 10 minutes into this, and I'm telling you.
We're going to go heavy.
Yes. And so I want you to ready yourself for that. I also want you to plan on listening to this several times, as I will, because there's a vault here. Hayk, thank you. Keep going. So when did you start filling the glass? When did you say, I'm going to proactively now move into making this a positive thing? I'm going to make this my superpower.
I've got a marathon story for you.
Yeah.
And I think at the time I was consuming too much self-help, where, you know, I got introduced to a guy named David Goggins. And Goggins is this guy who didn't train at all, and he signed up for a 100-mile ultra marathon. So I read a really good book by Jesse Itzler. Jesse Itzler introduced David Goggins to the world through his book, and the book that I read was called Living with a SEAL. Goggins was a Navy SEAL.
Yes,
he hired him to train him for a month. So I read the book, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, I own a business. You know, I'm 265 pounds. I'm overweight. Can't run 1 mile to save my life. I hate what I see in the mirror. I hate what I see in a bank account. It's like many months I have more month left at the end of the paycheck. Versus you want money to be left at the end of the month, not month left at the end of the money. And this is, you know, I'm beginning my entrepreneur career. I opened up my business, and I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. At this point, I'm considering like even jumping out of the insurance business. And, you know, with enough consumption of mentors, and mentors don't have to be, and I learned mentors don't have to be people you find. People are always like, well, where do you find mentors? Many of them are dead. They've written books. And this is what I appreciate about you doing this podcast. Eventually somebody, I don't know, 100 years from now might hear the content. It might influence them. And I've been influenced a lot by mentors who have no idea who I am.
Right.
And again, one of them was Jesse and Goggins. When I read that book, I'm like, you know what? If he can do a 100-mile ultra marathon on no training, like barely any, I could do 26.2. You know that saying, never make any commitments when you're happy, or decisions when you're angry. I had a good day that day. I was in I-5 traffic, and I'm looking at, there's a sign that says rock and roll marathon. I'm like, I'm buying a ticket. You know, it was like $90-some, which is a lot of money. Right. And I'm like, if I put my money at it, I better do it, right? And it was like 5 months out, 6 months out. And next morning I wake up 5 a.m, go on the treadmill. I'm like, I'm gonna run 10 miles today. I do like 2, my ankle swells. I go on the elliptical, I finish, and my ankle's hurting. Next morning, my ankle was like twice the size. For like a month, I couldn't run at all. And then kind of sort of ran, and I lost some weight. I started taking diet seriously. I lost like 30 pounds in like 5-6 months, and I showed up to this marathon. And I get to the start line, you know, first marathon, and all I know is lose weight, do some running, and finish 26 miles. I'm like, I think my longest run was like 15 miles, working up to it, because I read somewhere like 15, 18, you should be ready to go. Anyway, I get to mile 18 and everything seizes in my body. I'm talking quads are turning at the same time as hamstrings are just turning and twisting, and my calves all give out at the same time. And it's funny, at a marathon, they say the race really begins at mile 18 through 20. And that's where they start putting a lot of aid stations. Right. Because that's where people actually end up in the hospital. Some of them just fatigue, fall, and that's it. Go to the ER. Right. And at this point, I can see an aid station, and I can't really like stretch my legs, because if I bend over, quad cramps. If I try to straighten out my leg, hamstring cramps. So I'm kind of penguin walking my way to this aid station, and this lady's like, dude, you're covered in salt. Like, it seems like you're releasing a lot of electrolytes. What's your intake like?
What's an electrolyte, you ask?
And my first question is, what's an electrolyte? Not making this up, Grip. She goes, are you retarded? I'm like, no. She's like, dude, the Gatorade, the gels, that's for you to take like every few miles. We have that for you. I'm like, no. I'm staying away from sugar because I'm trying to lose weight. This is the reason why I'm doing this marathon. I'm just drinking water. She's like, sit down. Sit down. She takes Gatorade, probably as big of a cup as this one right here. Yeah. Dumps 2 tablespoons of salt in there, stirs it up. She goes, drink this. Yeah. So I drink it. She makes another one. I drink another half. They kind of massage my legs. She goes, okay, get up. If you can walk, and your legs should come back. If not, just DNF. Did not finish. Right. Just let one of the people know, they'll get you to the, they'll take you back to your car. I'm like, let me try. Anyway, so somehow I limp to the finish line. I finish 26, it's like 7-hour marathon. I was like the last 5% of finishers. And I remember before doing that, I was really lucky. I was introduced to a mentor. And I physically met this mentor. His name is Ali, very intelligent, member of Mensa, top 1% of IQ scores in the world, very successful. And sometimes your mentors tell you things you don't even question, you just do. It's like, jump, how high?
Right.
And he used to be a stockbroker back in the day. And he said, part of being a stockbroker wasn't just trading stock, it was taking companies public. And we had to also get very good at which companies do we present to our investors, because if we keep bringing bad companies, our investors will lose trust. So we have to therefore know how to bring good companies, so when they invest, they can make money and keep investing, and vice versa, right? We make a percentage. And he goes, we were trying to look at this, like, what's a pattern amongst companies? Because it wasn't the business plan. Just because you have a good business plan doesn't mean you're going to succeed a company. Just because you have a high IQ doesn't mean you're supposed to, succeed a company. Your grades didn't matter. Because something about a pattern, we noticed that if the president or the founder or the CEO ran marathons, their stocks did well. And I'm like, Ali, why is that? He goes, I don't know. He goes, you find out. So I actually kind of ran this marathon based on that conversation. It was a big part of my influence. So I ran a marathon, I finished. So I call him up and he's like, let's have lunch and talk about the lesson. And shame on me. I remember we were talking, what's the lesson? I'm like, I don't know. Waste of time.
I know what electrolytes are now.
Nothing improved in my life. I lost some weight. Income was the same. Life was the same. My perception of reality was the same. Wasn't speaking, wasn't being asked, didn't have good numbers, didn't make a lot of money. None of that changed. And then something didn't sit well with me. And I remember, again, as I'm reading more books and, things is coming into my life, that very powerful lesson. If this is, the listeners have to write something down, this is a piece they should write down. And I'm sure they've heard of this before. If they haven't, how you do anything is how you do everything. And second part to that is, if there's anything worth doing, it's worth doing well.
Right.
And I didn't run the marathon well. I didn't run my business well.
Didn't prepare well.
I didn't prepare well. I didn't take it seriously. I didn't take the business seriously. And I was blaming the world. And I was blaming the world. This is not for the heavy guy. Armenians don't run marathons. We're wrestlers. We're chess players, Right. The reason why I'm not doing that well in business is because this is for the American. I'm an immigrant. And I was blaming 15 different reasons where I was in life. And I again, now I go back and I'm like, okay, here's the lesson. When you blame the world, you can blame 15, 20, you can make up 50 things to blame, right? But you just created 15, 20, 30, 50 issues.
Right.
Good luck.
Now you've got more obstacles.
Yeah. And something about blame and a lesson of responsibility came into my life. When you blame, you've got a lot of villains against you, right? But when you take responsibility, as in, I just got to fix me. Maybe I could be a hero. So when you take responsibility, now you got one problem. But it's a hard problem to admit. Like, I'm the problem. It's not the fact that I'm an immigrant. It's not the fact that I didn't inherit money with my dad. It's not the fact that I was homeless. It's not the fact that I didn't see my family. All these things that I was blaming, I realized I'm just using this as an excuse, kind of villainy. I'm not helping anyone with this. So I took responsibility, hired a coach. And that's the thing. I feel like in business, we could blame a lot of things what goes wrong. Oh, the average home or average, like in the insurance business, premium is low in Washington State. Nobody's a rock star here. So I'm pointing fingers. The heroes are in Texas and Florida and California, and not here, not here, not here. Well, the thing about, I think, marathon that taught me, and I'm not saying the lesson is go run a marathon. I'm just saying do something that you can't blame the world. You can only blame yourself. And the fact that alarm rang at 5 a.m. and I hit the snooze button, didn't get up, that's on me.
Right.
It's nothing to do with the president that year.
Right.
Yeah, what country you're in. It's 5 a.m.
The weather, it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
So I realized if I'm not getting up, if I'm not doing the work, that's all me. And as I got better at the marathon, I hired a coach. I learned electrolytes. I heard nutrition. I ran another one. It was an hour quicker. I ran another one. It was an hour quicker. And I remember one day, and I was just, at this point, I was pretty good at running low 3-hour marathons. And, I heard people like Boston Marathon. I'm like, well, how cool would it be to run Boston Marathon?
What time do I need to do that?
Yeah, and then my coach is like, well, at your age, it's 3 hours, 5 minutes or faster, which means you got to keep like a 7-minute per mile or faster. I'm like, what do you think if I try it? And he's like, Hayk, at this point I actually got into Ironman. He's like, we're not doing marathons, Hayk. We're doing triathlons. This is much harder. Just forget the marathon. Let's just, because at the time I was shooting for Maple Valley Ironman 70.3 to go sub 5 hours. And to do sub 5 hours for Ironman Maple Valley, you have to kind of finish in like top 5% or so. And at the point I got really good at sports. And it's funny, the more I got better at the man in the mirror, that I went from like the worst version of myself, the least fit version of myself, to the most fit version of myself. Bank account followed. Right. My marriage followed. My relationship with my friends followed.
Anything is what you are in everything.
How you do anything, so how you do everything.
It overlays.
And I realized, I don't know when. It's like, when did these things transition? I don't know. It's like, when did you fall in love with your spouse? Mm-hmm. Tuesday at 2:45. Like, there's no answer to that.
Right.
But when you spend enough time, and Greg, one of the messages I stole from you, language is unique to me because I had to learn English differently than somebody who was born here, right? So I have appreciation for words. And the word you had me consider was consider. Like, consider, when did the answer come? I don't know. But I think you spend enough time in your head thinking about lessons. They come.
But you have to pause. You have to pause to consider. You don't run past that. You have to see the opportunity to open your mind and think.
Yeah.
And that's a discipline. The thinking chair. No different than working out is a discipline. Reading is a discipline. Writing is a discipline. Thinking thoughts you haven't thought before, that's considering, is a discipline. Yeah.
And things just got better after that.
Yeah.
Qualified for Boston, did my sub 5 hour 70.3. Got to a point where I'm like, now I think I have a story to write about, which turned into the lessons in the book. Business went from, bottom 10% to top, at this point, I think it's like 0.1% of agencies in the country.
Well, let me say it, right? In the State Farm world right now, you hold a #1 position in the company.
Not number one. We're shooting for it. I would say the raw volume we're writing, top 10 for sure. There's so many different ways to measure it, like the top life insurance writer, top auto writer.
Right.
But as far as we're writing, give or take, I think it's like 900 to 1,000 accounts a month. Is like, there's few that do that. Yeah.
I just think that one of the takeaways that I want to make sure people grasp is that as you take responsibility, it all came back there, that man in the mirror. There's a quote by Harry Atlas, PhD. He happens to be a power player, and
of course he is.
And he wrote a book, and it simply said that whether you agree with it or not, you are responsible for 100% of what happens in your life. The good news is that once you accept that, you now have the power to change what happens next. Which said a different way, that if you don't accept that, you're a victim. You're powerless to change what happens next. But when you accept that, like you said, it's on you now. You have the power to change what happens next. If you don't like your bank account, you have the power to change it. You don't like your physicality, change it. You have the power if you take responsibility. But the rationalization and the justification that I believe the anti-you throws at you, it's not your fault, it's this, it's that, it's all these things that have happened. This all adds up to, this is your reason why you can't. And that's the conclusion. But when you break that and say, no, the possibility of I can do this exists, and now I'm responsible. Well, it's on you. And like you say, that's a big one to consider. And yet it's that moment that you become free to become who you are.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, and now also to add to that, we just had Independence Day.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a message, not just to my team. I've been saying this message a lot. Like, you can be in a country that, there's a lot that people in America have to do for us to enjoy the freedom today. A lot of lives were taken, right? If you think about what is this freedom, another word I'm looking for is opportunity. Right? It truly is a lottery to come here.
Right.
That's why when I hear people complain about opportunity in this country, I'm thinking to myself, do you know how many people would kill to be here right now, to win the lottery to be here, and how many lives were taken for us to have the opportunity of you can't change your bank account. You can't change who you are. And you can just work hard and not to go against man's and God's laws, and you get rewarded. In a good free country with good middle class and freedom to do so, right? It's not the case everywhere, right? It's not the case everywhere. And, the story from my dad was when he was doing well in Russia, the mob came and took it away. That's why we had to move back to Armenia. You can't just, there's no freedom to do well unless you're connected, you're paying the right people, and it's unfortunate.
Right.
It's unfortunate. That's why here you have the power to do it. And then there's a lot of other countries too, but this is why we came here.
Right.
Right. So I get a little, passionate during, the 4th of July message to my team. I'm like, guys, go enjoy the weekend, but just think about the opportunity you have here. There's a lot that can be done. Don't give up on your dreams.
Yeah.
This country has a way of rewarding effort, right effort, but also it really punishes the lazy. It really does.
Yeah. Well, I think that mentally, that step of saying it's up to me, I can do it, I will do it. Talk about the disciplines. How do you take that message of it's on me, and how do you break it down? Give me an example of some of the disciplines you employ in your life to set the stage for things to happen. The homework, the back end, the back room of your life. What do you do consistently that readies you to move forward?
There's so much to discuss on that subject. Right? I think there's two types of people when it comes to that specific discipline, right? As in, I'm not a feelings-oriented person. I'm a discipline-oriented person. There are purpose-driven people and there are pleasure-driven people. As in, I'll sacrifice purpose for pleasure. Like I'll hit the snooze button. That's pleasure. Like you're sleeping in. I will not take the difficult meeting. I will not have the difficult conversation because it's
hard.
But I'm not doing anything bad, but I understand you taking that easier route out. And it's never grand slam, easy vacation. It's the micro habits of the day multiplied with time and then equals great results or great failures.
Right.
And then so a lot of pleasure-driven people sacrifice purpose for more pleasure. Again, the snooze button is a huge pleasure, by the way. Not being early, that's a pleasure. Not doing the extra workout, that's a pleasure. Not having the extra meeting, that's a pleasure, right? And then there's purpose-driven people who will sacrifice pleasure for more purpose. They will do the things that hurt a little bit more. Is in a quote, pain of discipline weighs much less than pain of regret. Can you go towards a slightly more painful consistently? It's not like you have to go out there and climb mountains, run marathons all the time. No, I'm talking about, can you do something that's slightly less comfortable, but it's better for you? Right. That extra workout, the extra conversation, the extra early morning, the extra, the extra phone call a day. And then just watch your life. And I think if anybody would just commit for 1 year, just literally just take 1 year and do exactly what they said they're going to do, it will change their life.
Right.
For 1 year. And I think that does two things. One is if you're going to do everything you say, because too many people say stuff because it feels good. They have difficulty saying no to people. They're like, I'm not going to do it anyway, but let me just say commit to it. They lose value of their word. I mean, word is the most powerful thing we possess, like especially the self-talk.
Yeah. What
does it do to your word when you're like, I'm going to do this and you're going to do it, right? So I think it does two things. One is you build respect for yourself. Like I said, I'm going to do it. Like discipline. Like if I said it, it's going to get done.
Right.
And it also teaches you to say things that matter, say no to things that matter less. Because a lot of people are like, say no to things that are not important. Like it or not, almost everything is important. If not to you, to somebody else who's asking you, right?
Right.
But you learn to say no to things that are less important. And those are two very valuable lessons to discipline. Can you, for 1 year, do everything you say you're going to do and say no to things that you know you're not going to? And I think that's a piece of discipline that if, to me, like my word is extremely, extremely important. Like if I said I'm going to do something, I have to at this point. There's no going around it. There's no making up a story around it. And I remember for a while I didn't take my word seriously. And words weren't taking me seriously. Life wasn't taking me seriously. And all of a sudden now it's like, it's a contract.
I almost want to freeze that, because you didn't take your word seriously. It didn't take you seriously. Life. It kind of like, well, I mean, when that self-talk says, okay, well, we'll see what happens. Jury's still out, Hayk. I mean, you may or may not. If the self-talk says that, you're doomed.
Yeah.
You won't win that battle because it's you telling you that.
Yeah. Well, it's a biblical sentence. First, there was the Word.
Right.
That's a God-given gift.
Right.
Word is very powerful. People underestimate the power of the Word.
I feel, I'm going to, true confession, I feel like a borderline tyrant sometimes.
In what way?
In that weekly, in my life, with all the responsibilities, that's how I call it, I give somebody the do what you say you're going to do lecture. I say, listen, if we're going to get along, here's how it's got to work. If you tell me you're going to call me back in 10 minutes, call me back in 10 minutes, not 2 days later. Yeah. I don't know how to say it nicely. I'm not trying to be all over you. And if you don't like this conversation, just tell me and I'll stop. But for us to move forward, you have to do what you say you're going to do. If you don't say it, I have no expectations. But if you do, I expect you to follow through. But I want to take it out of the context of me with another. What you're talking about here is even more profound. That if you tell yourself you're going to do something and you don't, what is your chance of benefiting the world? If you let yourself down, how are you going to bring value to anywhere else? You're not dependable. You can't trust yourself. And to me, that's the real damage. The world will get along with or without you, but you have to live with yourself. And I think it's what you really are is what you do in the darkness. It's what you do when nobody sees whether you followed through or not. But you told yourself, by day's end, I'm going to do this.
Well, it's you versus you.
You versus you.
When you keep hearing that whole quote, your own best investment, most people don't understand that.
Right.
They're thinking they're supposed to go buy themselves an expensive outfit.
Right.
Or a nice car. Like that's not what they meant. We're talking about, can you invest in you becoming the best version of yourself? And again, it does begin with the word. Like you said you're going to run the marathon 6 months.
Right.
What are you doing with it?
Right.
You just said you're going to be more forgiving. How many people did you forgive?
Right.
You just said you're going to host your team meeting consistently once a week. How many have you skipped? Right. So, and those are the things like, do you lie to yourself? And if you can just fix that one piece, I think a lot of things follow.
Wow.
And one of my, this is a simple small business teachings I do to my team. I'm like, you're going to promise a customer to call them back in 15 minutes, but you call them back in 20. You just overpromised and under-delivered. How about this? If you think there's a chance you might be late by 5 minutes, say, I'm going to call you back by end of the day and call them back in 20 minutes. You just over-delivered. Yeah. And you under-promised.
Right.
So I'm like, again, get good at that word. Because if there's a chance, what are you telling yourself?
Yes.
It wouldn't matter to the client, Hayk. It's only 5 minutes. I'm like, I understand. You just can't lie to yourself. That's more important at this point. But if you can fix it with yourself, trust me, first you work for your reputation, then the reputation works for you. But your reputation with yourself is the most important reputation. Yeah. And if you don't have a good one, it's only a matter of time until the whole community knows. Yeah. And it matters. Yeah. In the community, it matters. Who you support matters. So that's the whole idea of business, the way it's built. Yeah. Reputation.
Well, this topic to me seems to be, there's almost a philosophy that says, lighten up. You're too intense. Lighten up. I hear that and I go, well, if intense is how you describe it, then yes, I guess I am. I'm intense. I like to think about it as just being on purpose.
Yeah.
That phrase, living deliberately, is the idea that I'm handcrafting what I do, what I say I'm going to do, on point, on purpose. Not whatever happens. No, I've eliminated a lot of things. This is the deliberate intention, not other things. This is. And that means that something's got to go, which brings a whole nother question, that as you look at a million things that you could be spending your time and energy and effort on, your money on, eliminating the things you should eliminate to make room for growth, upward movement, more business, more this, more that. The question, what goes? Give me a few things that you've decided at some point in your life that you said,
something has to go.
That's it. I'm not doing that anymore.
I mean, going back to that purpose versus pleasure, right? I think, Rick, I'll give you just a recent example. And usually, I think from the beginning of the year, I've kind of booked out on speaking gigs. My commitment is 1, max 2 a month, because every time you get a flying night before, dinner with the team, and then you present.
It's 3 days.
Yeah, it's 3 days. So, and I got 2 kids. I got 8 and 10. I'm still their hero, so I'm trying to soak in those years, because I hear when they get older, that changes, right? So I don't want to be away too much. And I grew up with a dad who was away a lot. Then I was away. So to me, maybe I do have some kind of a post-traumatic stress disorder with, and I hate airports. I hate flying. I know there's a plane right behind us. This is giving me a little bit of anxiety, I guess, right? So I don't like being away, but also know it's good, because I've had cases where I went to presenting just a few weeks ago. I had a lady come up to me with a copy of my book. She goes, "You helped me get through cancer." I'm like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "The month I was in the hospital, I read your book. Can you please sign this copy?" I'm like, can we back up for a second? I'm like, and this was, after I presented, and then she goes, the doctor walked into the room, and doctor looked at the book I'm reading, and she's like, the doctor's like, "I have no idea what the book is about, but the title says The Power of Mindset. It sounds like it's exactly what you should be reading." And she goes, "It is." Wow. I had goosebumps thinking, I have a responsibility.
Wow. Yeah.
Like, was it more fun not to go? Yeah, but I found purpose and contribution.
Right.
Again, that's the heroic work. Again, nobody was asking the guy with bad numbers and bad business to go do it. So in a way, the same narrative, the same story got me to do that. So 6, 7, and then he came to America when I was about 14. And I was like 20, 21 at this point. Wow. And I see him like, there's no FaceTime at the time. We see pictures of each other here and there, but 7 years later, he has a little mustache.
Right.
Skinny, tall. I'm like, this is not the little brother anymore.
Right. Yeah.
It's like a teenage
Do you feel like you missed an important chapter in his life?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If you ask Albert, he's like, in Armenia, again, it was that 1990s Soviet culture is there. Like, it's not very playful. Like, we had gangs. Like, if you're, we were in a city called Davitashen. Davitashen is, I don't know, from what I remember, is equivalent of Compton of Armenia, right? So if we had, technically, you can call it 4 blocks, and each block is its own gang. Like, if I'm walking through block number 2, and block number 2 has an issue with block number 4 where I was raised, hey, which block you from? Like, 4. Oh, we have a problem with your block because the other day we got in a fight with some kids from your block, and we told them to stay, wait here. We're going to come back and finish the fight with them. They didn't go, so it sounds like you got to step in for them. And we would have fights on fights, and we get jumped, beat up. It was never violent where there was weapons and knives. There was actually some respectful gentleman's rules we had. No weapons, never. But we would argue for hours and fight. That was my childhood. Wow. And I was part of that 4th block per se gang.
Right.
And it was always like, you have to be very careful where you're going, what time of the day, who said something about your friends. You have to stand up, you have to cover them, you have to, be very careful what you say, because your words will be used against you in court of Davitashen.
Right.
Holy cow. Growing up in that argumentative debate, a lot of debating. Hey, you walked by and you looked at me in a way I didn't appreciate. Can you stand up to that? Like, I was just looking. you can't look like that. I'm like, why not? And then it turns into a 3-hour-long debate. And then if you don't agree, it turns into a fight. And if it was 3 of them and 2 of you, and we would actually have call-outs, as in, it's 3 of you, 2 of us, not fair. Wait right here, I'll be right back. And you go back, you bring your crew, and they're like, oh, they're bringing their crew, so let's go call our friends. And you come back, never know what you're coming back to. They might have a team of 20, and you got like now 8. And then usually, again, the 2 would argue, doesn't go well, fights. I grew up to that.
Wow.
So you have a little brother, and as an older brother, there's a responsibility. We call them older bros. Mm-hmm. And if he gets into an argument, he's like, I'm going to go get my older bro. And they were like, who's your older bro? And they'd be like, Hayk. And I would say I had a decent reputation of somebody who goes in there, gets in fights, and finishes fights. Mm-hmm. That's how you earn a status in Yerevan at the time.
Wow.
Especially our gang-related culture. And imagine the older brother, I was well-connected. People respected me. People respected my dad a lot. My dad had a really good reputation in the Soviet community because he was just an amazing person. He would, very caring, very giving. People respected my dad too. So sometimes they would even be like, hey, don't mess with those 2 brothers. That's Yuri's sons.
Right. Right.
Oh, we know him, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And again, my dad and I left. Little Albert has a sister who's 7 years older and a mom.
Right.
Kind of had to put on the man of the household shoes, and I'm sure he probably talked about that. So imagine what that would do to a kid knowing that his old bro who steps in for him. And the amount of fights I got into because of him, it's like, you better step, because he was kind of a troublemaker too. He would like do stuff. I remember one time he was throwing, I think, balloons filled up with water at some people from the balcony. And he doesn't get in trouble for that. Mm-hmm. The older brother gets in trouble for that. He's like, you better discipline your brother. Like, hi, come out, we got to talk to you, kind of a culture. Anyway, so they got pulled away. And again, I'm sure he got in a ton of fights, and he had to learn quickly. Black eye, empty pockets, and broken heart. So I would say a lot of that contributes to his modern day fighting, want to be in UFC, be the baddest there is. And he is big time badass. You've seen him fight. He goes to main event fight, finishes in 2 minutes, right?
I was going to say, the first fight was 1 minute and 30 seconds, and the second one was 30 seconds. So I'm like, I couldn't believe it.
So if you think of that lesson, Greg, think of that lesson.
Yeah.
A dad and an older son leave the younger son behind for 7 years. Right. What does he become?
Right. Yeah.
What is his narrative in Villains versus Heroes? Mm-hmm. Where he physically and psychologically and metaphorically gets a black eye.
Right.
There's
you must have had to feel a little abandoned. Yeah.
There's no dad. Mm-hmm. Do you tell your sister? Right. Well, not in our Soviet culture.
No.
You don't tell your mom. Like, God forbid you complain and people find out you're complaining about these things.
Right.
So what did he have to become? He became a tough kid. Yeah. Just like I had to.
Right.
And, that attitude came to America, and things are different here. Like, things are different. I remember I got suspended because some kid was spitting at everybody at school. And in Armenia growing up, if somebody spits at you, it's a huge, like, we're talking disrespect to the next level. Mm-hmm. You have to stand up for yourself, and you have to punch that person. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, the rumor spreads around you being a weak link, and you do not want that in Yerevan at the time.
Right.
Things have changed now. It's a lot softer generation.
How did that go with the vice principal? I had to hit him.
Yeah, I did.
I had to hit him.
I went to the principal's office. They brought a translator. At the time, they didn't have an Armenian translator at school. It was like my first week in school. They brought a Russian lady, and I'm like, she's like, why did you hit this kid? I'm like, he was spitting at everybody, and nobody was doing anything. People were like, and he's like the bully of school.
Right.
And I hit him. And then I'm like, weird, why are they? I'm just going to explain myself and we'll be sad. Because in Armenia...
Why am I getting interrogated
in
about
Armenia,
this?
The principal would have said, don't ever spit at anybody, right? And here it's like, snitch on him. And I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. We don't do that. If I do that, I would get jumped after school by kids.
Right.
Here, weird. And then I remember I got sent home, came back to school 2 days later. I realized I just discovered kryptonite. I punched the popular bully in the face. Mm-hmm. Now everybody wants to be my friend.
Right.
I'm like, oh, this is a different atmosphere. Anyway, Albert comes into that culture. And I've learned that, I've Americanized, and he's full on Armenian. I can't remember when this was. He gets into a couple fights at school. I have to show up. I'm the guardian. I'm like, dude, come on. And then he gets introduced to sports. I push him to weightlifting.
A good outlet for
he gets into wrestling, and then he just picks up jujitsu, just for the sake of doing jiu-jitsu because he was a good wrestler in high school. And again, we were always, bros looking out what works, what doesn't, And Albert would probably like jokingly say, if Hayk is the experimental brother, so if he does something that doesn't work, I just won't do it. I'll learn from him. But if something works, I'll do it. Like he makes that joke about State Farm too. He goes, because I did so many different jobs. And then this worked. I'm like, and Albert's like, and he's very good. One of the gifts he has that I'm picking up from him is I will take something that's broken, kind of make it work and keep going. He'll take something that's broken, he'll fix it. He's very good he's a fixer. I'm more of a doer. So very efficient. And I think this is why he's one of the best fighters in the world. He will fix that little micro things. And he did the same thing in business. And in 5 years, he did what took me 10.
Yeah.
Right? So very capable, very sharp. And he's very good at hearing and listening. Sometimes you might pretend like he's not hearing you. Oh, he's listening.
He's listening.
He's studying you.
Right.
I think that's really plays in his favor. And I admire that about him. And I remember years and years, I'd actually hired him to come work at my business when he was like 18 to just make some cash. I remember one time he's like in the office from MMA practice, like night before, like again, actual black eye. And
Right.
And maybe even the bloody nose. I don't remember the exact story. And he's like, it's kind of nice to be here. I'm like, I got to go to training tonight, man. But it's easy to be here because, can you imagine work being the toughest thing you do? And he just says it. He's like a kid talking, I'm like, I remember like to this day, I'm like, that is like Albert, I remind this to him and now it became this philosophical lesson. You cannot let work be the toughest thing you do because it'd be the toughest thing you do. And all you complain about, go home and have the famous argument with your spouse, oh, who had the worst day?
Right.
So just do something physically tough. I'm not saying go fight MMA. Like I messed with MMA a little bit. It just never worked for me. But, to Albert, the reason I think he's successful, there's many levels to why he's successful, but work isn't the toughest thing he does.
Right.
He's getting punched in the face and knocking people out.
But he's doing the tougher thing, not just voluntarily, but passionately.
Oh, he loves it.
I mean, doing that tougher thing, it's not like it's thrust upon you. You're choosing the tougher thing, which makes other things seem seamless.
Yeah.
It's the license plate. It's perspective. Things are relative. And when I hear people saying, "Oh God, just this is a terrible, terrible day." Oh, Alina, tell me about it. Well, I didn't bring my battery charger and my phone went dead and it was dead for 2 hours and I'm beside myself.
It's like, are you serious?
I just kind of went, I can't even relate. If that's the worst thing that's happened to you, oh my God, you need some real shit to happen,
I make this joke. I'm like, if I order a steak, first world problems, right? If I order a steak, they bring me fried chicken, I'll eat the fried chicken.
Right. It's okay.
It's fine.
All right.
I've seen people lose it because the coffee didn't have the foam that they want. I'm like, you got, the real world is going to beat you up and spit you out. You can have some real challenges if you cannot handle your coffee order.
Right. Exactly.
Like, are you serious?
Yeah. No. But I think that perspective, which means that if we recognize that in a scene of adversity, that this sets a bar. It's sort of a baseline to say, okay, I can tell you the quote from my dad, that learn to love what most people won't tolerate. When you put yourself in a place where, wow, okay, this is inclement. We're out here. You got to pay attention. All of a sudden, the day in and day out is a relative thing. You're not seeing that edge. But when you explore that, it allows this whole world to come closer to it without an adverse effect. You're used to it in a sense. You're trained with how to deal with things that are out there a bit.
Yeah. I mean, if you're literally getting punched in the face in the evening,
right?
What's a complaint at 9:30 a.m.?
Right, with a cup of coffee on your desk. Yeah,
and I'm not even getting punched. I just run in the mornings or swim, whatever.
Right.
That's the next level of pain tolerance.
Yeah.
And you said it's your dad's quote, right? If you can learn to love what others can't tolerate, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
And he said it with he was euphoric in the dark at 15 degrees with ice pellets pelting our face. in a wind tunnel. Like, who do you see, Greg? I'm like, 10. I don't see anybody. He goes, that's because nobody else is out here.
Yeah.
You know why they're not here?
They're comfortable.
He goes, this is too damn hard.
Yeah.
That's why they're not here. Yeah. And if you can learn to love this, there's no competition. There's a whole world that, think about the masses and think about comfort. The masses congregate like a beehive around comfort. And it could be physical comfort, mental comfort, but they just want it comfortable.
Right.
When you break away from that, it's like 80% of the world is water. You enter a world that nobody else is. There's no competition here. If you can be that person, all of a sudden the playing field is wide open. You're not competing for space in the hive. You're out here, but it's uncomfortable. Right. And yet learning how to be comfortable where it's uncomfortable. That's the, like, oh my God, how do you juggle all this at the same time? I've become very comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, but it's such a small percentage of people, Greg. Again, I know a lot of people. Yeah. Like I have a large business with like 10,000 households.
Right.
It's a lot of people I know.
Right.
It's a lot of networks. I travel, I meet. At this point, I know only 2 people that have jets. You got one? And there's another gentleman I know.
That's not a jet.
It's a private plane.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And who wouldn't want to have that? But when I see the amount of people that have it, I know there's some people that you probably know, a ton of people have it, right? Because that's, you attract what you are.
I don't.
You don't?
But maybe half a dozen.
A few. Okay, I've only met 2, like this, and talked to them.
Yeah.
You being one of them. We all want that. But 99.99% of people would disagree and not like the method. I don't want to do all that. I just want the results. But you just ask for a 1,000-pound squat. If that gets given to you without the work that was needed to get to it, it will break your back.
Right.
So it's the result of what you're willing to tolerate with time. Right. Most people aren't that pain tolerant.
With time too.
With time.
Everybody wants just to add water. Oof. But time. 10 years, right? You said, well, Albert did what I did in 10 and 5, still even 5 years. Who wants to stay focused and head down for years? That house took 8 years to build
it took
a house.
15 years of fighting to get a contact from UFC.
Right.
Usain Bolt said it took me 10 years of relentless work to run 9.5 seconds. 10 years, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, I've said that too. I'm like, this is 18 years in business for me, total in the insurance business, right?
Yeah.
I feel like year 10 is when things really opened up and I started doing some, again, I'm going to go back to saying heroic work, where now people are inspired and thank you for your help and can you come speak at our event? I like the lessons from your book. I'm like, but it was quiet the first 10.
Sure.
Nobody cared. I even actually, during one of the meetings, I remember that like the executive board, the vice president sitting in the back, and I'm like, I literally asked them, I'm like, would you have asked me to come here 5 years ago when we were writing third of the business that we're writing today? No. But I had to patiently wait for 10 years. So how did you do that? It took 10 years to be able to write the 10,000 policies we're going to write this year. It took 10 years to figure that out. Right. Usain Bolt took 10 years of training to run 9.5 seconds. Yeah. It took Albert 15 years of training to get that phone call. Right. So I want the phone call, but people aren't patient nowadays.
Well, and it begs the question that the commitments you make, are they real commitments? Do you really want this? Do you really want it? Or is this just a casual, little romantic kind of, I want to do that? And that's a gas fire. Yeah. Coal fires, deep coal fires that when nobody else, when you're off radar of anybody that even knows what you're trying to do, are you still on task? Do you want it that badly? I think that's a sense of urgency and impact. The combination of those two philosophies in one, that we want something bad enough and we're willing to sacrifice other things to do it. Yeah.
Kind of, sort of. A lot of things we do is kind of, sort of. And it was my story, my first marathon.
Right.
Kind of, sort of.
Kind of, sort of.
But I'm doing hard things. What are the results? But I kind of, sort of did it. So I think there's another piece that isn't about just doing hard things.
Yeah.
It's do hard things and do them well.
Do them well. Yeah.
But I don't want to do it. I just want to do it.
Right.
You should be okay with kind of, sort of results.
Mastery. Let me ask you a cultural question. And I feel like I've got a feel of this in Russia, and you kind of have two experiences with Armenia and Russia, but culturally the philosophy of journeyman and apprentice. You see in the trades, for example, somebody that lays stone. Well, they're going to teach the next generation how to do this, and they teach the next generation. There's value placed in those who've come before, and they're the masters, and to learn from them. I'm concerned of a generation that doesn't appreciate that. You find people that know more about something than you do, and you go learn from them. I feel like there's a world there that model is the only place I really see it still in place is in aviation. They won't let you in the plane without a flight instructor sitting right here in the right seat.
Or others.
Exactly, right. So there's a life thing going on there. But I perceive that with your team, you're truly leading, saying, here's everything that I could possibly teach you that I've learned in 18 years of doing this. I want you to know it and understand it and get it, and hopefully sooner than I did. Is that would that be a fair statement about how you lead?
Yeah, I think leading by example is a big piece, but it's like, what example do you set? I don't remember who said it. I want to say Bob Proctor. I'm sure you've heard of the name.
I've heard of the name.
He's a master's level coach, coaches Fortune 500 companies. I think this was him. Don't quote me on this, Greg. But he said, you spend your 20s, because you're made of rubber in 20s, like physically and psychologically. You recover from anything. I remember even when I was training in 20s, like any injury, within a week, I'm back. Now, just turned 38. And 6 months later, my Achilles is finally getting better. But I think in 20s, you're very easily recovering from adversity, speed bumps, and injuries. Black eye recovers in 2 days. A broken heart, maybe a month. Who knows, right? Empty pockets, you'll be okay with it because you don't have 2 kids in private school and some fancy cars and fancy homes, right? So you're okay with empty pocket, broken heart, and black eye, and you recover from it quickly. Which is why it happened for me. I didn't have to wait until 20s to start doing that. I actually started at 13. So I feel like I had an advantage over most. I started earlier. I wasn't thrown into this adversity. I was actually given an opportunity sooner. So I kind of started experimenting at 13. That's why I feel like I have like a decade advantage over most. But generally speaking, for what I'm seeing, spend 20s executing relentlessly and gathering patterns.
Right.
What to do and what not to do. Look for patterns, follow patterns, create patterns. In 20s, you have to know exactly what you're good at, and then also figure out like what doesn't work. In 30s, now you can execute on what works and stay away from what doesn't. And again, at least and I've got a lot of coaching students now, even talking about this formula. In 40s, you want to hire and replicate. Hire and replicate. Now, if you haven't spent about a decade becoming the best version of yourself, replicating yourself could be a curse.
Right.
Because replication, delegation, it's not. If delegation was easy, we would all just hire and delegate. But that's a question I get asked a lot. Like, how do you have a team? Like, my team runs the shop. I don't talk to customers. I got my managers. I got my meetings. I have my agenda, right? So, but you have to have something within you that allows your team to see that what you're asking them to do isn't something that you don't want to do or you've never done. Right. It's like, I can see why he's asking, right? At least that's the case for me. So when you replicate yourself, it's a blessing, not a curse. Many people replicate themselves and they get that, it's like, Hayk, what do you find? And a joke I make usually I've made this joke off stage a million times. I'm like, do not write this website down. Amazingemployee.com doesn't exist. It's not a where question, it's a when question. When most don't give that 22-year-old a chance. When most are like, not a good time to hire. When most are like, I don't want to have the meeting. When? So when best people come to me and most aren't looking and most aren't willing to coach, right? So, but again, can you lead by example? As in, when you ask him to do something, how do you do it? Mm-hmm. There's this example by Jordan Peterson. I love this example. He said, how do you starve a dog to death? He said, before a dog is going to eat its meal, take a newspaper, roll it into a tube. You don't want to really hurt the dog, but just tap the dog on its nose right before it eats. Do that for about a month or two. Eventually, dog will stop eating. Eventually, the dog will starve. Eventually, the dog will die. And you can go back and have a conversation with yourself. I didn't do anything that bad. I have AC in the house. It's a good home, good environment. I have good wooden floors. The food was in a nice plate. It was amazing organic dog food. What's wrong with that dog?
Right.
And to that example, a lot of these coaches struggle coaching their people. Why? Because right before they coach and right before they talk to them, they're like, okay, I have to tell you the same thing again. And then they coach. Or they go, are you serious? You made that mistake again? Again, they lead with pride, impatience.
Shame.
Yeah, shame. How many more of those until they stop coming to you? And how many more of those until they isolate themselves? Because isolation is a leading cause why people leave their jobs. They don't quit the company or the industry, they quit the leader. And I think a leader needs to have a wake-up call to know that they're there for you. What do you do to lead by example? Do you have that tap on the nose before? And the opposite. What about the hug before you coach? What about that's a great question.
Right.
Because it's never one great session. It's the constant, day in and day out. It's thousands of hours together. That's why I feel like I probably have the highest producing team in the entire industry, not just our company, the entire industry when it comes to per individual success. I have people doing 200, 300, 400 accounts a month where a whole agency doesn't do that.
Right.
And I have several of those. And I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just saying I found some like-minded people that don't mind working hard, that don't want to bend the rules, that understand hard work, and that we have some similar values. Now, none of us are extremely tall and handsome and like rocket scientists. None of us. We're very simple. But I think we have that level of respect for one another to say, if they ask me to do something, I'm like, oh, my name's on the door. I'm like, what do you need?
Right.
And if I ask them to do something, they're like, how high you want me to jump, right? So I think there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
You have to ask yourself the first question. It's not about finding that website. It's about what do you see in the mirror? And it goes back to what I shared like an hour ago now.
Yep. Yep.
What's your word like with them? Because when you said something, will you do it? Because often employees will tell you what you want to hear. The question is, when you're not keeping them accountable, will they do it? Right. That's a reflection of the leader at that point. Accountability is leadership. Leadership is accountability.
How do you teach awareness?
That's a tough question. It's like, how do you teach health? It's such a thick word, right? Awareness.
A lot of different kinds of awareness too, but I would contend that the next thing comes from awareness.
Yeah.
The next thing you say, the next thing you do, the next thing is about what you've seen, taken in, and are aware of. You can't do it if it wasn't cued by awareness.
I think it's more of an ongoing training than, I can teach awareness. I don't think I can teach awareness. It's like you would ask a fighter, you can ask my brother, how do you learn to react to a certain punch? You just keep training, and hopefully when that gets thrown your way, you're kind of ready. I think we constantly talk about it. Again, look for patterns. If, one of the things I push with my team is, ask for feedback, like field intelligence when you're dealing with customers. On the flip side, I don't know what's going on over there. This is why I think a lot of CEOs might be really disconnected from what's happening with the very clients, because at the end of the day, if nothing gets sold,
right,
companies losing value, right? So what are the salespeople seeing? What are the service people picking up the call seeing, right?
Right.
What are the patterns you've seen? So ask for feedback and write it down. If we're constantly getting a feedback that you guys are rude, you're not nice, you're not kind, too many voicemails, like we got to write that down and have a discussion. So I think an awareness would be like, I don't know, so we keep seeking it. Right. And 1 month might be a problem with this, and second month is a problem with that. And can I call myself a very aware, self-aware person? Not really, Greg. I mean, I fall on my face all the time. I make mistakes, but I think I welcome them. So I think that pain is the best teacher. I don't run away from it. I make a lot of mistakes. Like we just recently moved. I mean, by all means, it was not a perfect move. Like the tree guy showed up at a weird time, and then the moving company, and then the cable.
You don't do it every day, though.
Oh my God, yeah, it was chaotic. But it just, you do all at once, and I feel like awareness just comes as you go. But ideas, do you actually learn when you keep falling on your face? Or do you just keep making the same mistake?
I think that this is where that relationship, the journeyman apprentice, it's like you said, you lead by example, but it's the whole theme of that is, okay, watch me. I'm going to show you how to do it. You know, watch how I do this. Even in the airplane, there's 2 yokes. There's 2 sets of pedals. And at least in a plane where you'd have an instructor, they may say, okay, watch how I land this plane in this crosswind. Watch me, watch what I'm doing. I think that we learn awareness by somebody consistently teaching you without saying anything. That if you're watching them, you admire them, you respect them, which puts a premium in being around people who are playing the game that you want to play. You know, which is the value of working with someone like you, that you've got this, you've done this, you've become what they want to be. That's where you want to be. You want to be in a place where you're looking at somebody that is doing what you want to do, that is living the way you want to live, that has the impact you're wanting to have, and then watch them, watch everything they do, and take note of that. I think of the examples at the writing of Shotgun that I got with Newman, and just in a meeting, listening to how his mind worked and how he connected with people, right? Or listening for hundreds of hours, just listening to the communication skills that Dr. Shadow has. And you're just like, never heard anybody communicate like this in my life. And you want to become that. You want your words and the way you communicate to sound more like that, because it's so complete. I think the point I'm making is, who do you hang out with that is upping the game for you? I can tell you thousands of people that are watching you. Who do you hang out that you're going, I want to be like that. There's a bar. There's the next bar. Is it an athlete, a business person? Is it, who are your mentors that you look up to?
I mean, we find what we seek, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, I've got plenty of people that make me uncomfortable, per se.
That's good.
You know, that this quote's been thrown around everywhere, is if you're the most capable one in the room, you're in the wrong room. So get in the room where you're like, I got some growing to do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a big inspiration for me is my dad. You know, he showed me what he's willing to sacrifice for his family.
Right.
I've seen very few dads who did that.
Yeah.
It almost feels like he's done it, and in a way he feels like he sacrificed himself and his entire life for us. Like that's a big cost to pay, right? You know, where, you know, now he's, you know, I feel like he now watches us and he's happy to see the kids are doing well. You know, like he doesn't have to worry about me. He doesn't have to worry about my brother. He doesn't have to worry about my sister. But, you know, if there's any, I think, inspiration that I want to pass on from my dad to my kids is, I want to teach my kids that often, like no matter the motivation or inspiration, whatever you need, sometimes you just work hard. And, if you're just waiting for that feeling, you're not going to get things done. But hard work, like discipline, you do it regardless of how you feel. That is the discipline that my dad has instilled in me. And it's a reminder that he's missing 4 fingers on his left hand. He just has a thumb and then a right hand. And he lost his 4 fingers back in the Soviet Union days. He was working at a leather factory and a roller just mashed his fingers. Right. And I remember many times when him and I were working in construction, and I was a young kid going to the jobs with him, and he was made as an example by the supervisors. Look at Yuri with 1 hand doing more than all of you with 2. So to me, I'm like, that is work right there, Yeah. So I'm reminded of those memories with my dad that he had disadvantage, but his work ethic more than excelled him.
Right.
I draw inspiration from my brother.
Yeah.
The guy, 15 years. He is still at it, right? To me, that's consistency. That's doing things that might not be all pleasant and fun, but it's purpose.
Right.
It's not fun to get punched, come home, you got knee surgery, thumb surgery, it's not. But you kind of see a lot of purpose-driven people that I admire, look up to, are drawn to difficulty and pain in a philosophical matter, but also it keeps them healthy and they don't complain about work as much. I've got intellectual friends like my friend mentor Ali, a member of Mansa. Every time I talk to him, I feel stupid. The way it connects the economy. He recently published a book about education system, economy, the medical system, how it's all interconnected. And I'm reading his book. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't recommend my book to anybody because this is it's a much shorter book, but it feels like 20 times heavier than mine.
Right.
Because of every page feels like lead.
Dense.
Yeah.
Dense with thoughts.
A couple of study groups of people that just have, like one of them has a jet, and I feel poor around somebody like that, and
the concept of the mastermind is an amazing concept to fill a room with people from all different types of the success equation, and then learning from one another.
Yeah, I'm not saying I used to go to a lot more conferences, a lot of study groups and stuff, people to make me uncomfortable, but got to the point it's like, enough is enough. Like I'm reading all these books and I'm around all these people that make me feel uncomfortable. It's like, what the hell am I doing with all this? Yeah. And the answer was nothing.
Right.
That's when I said, but by the way, since I published mine, this is shameful thing for me to admit, I haven't picked up a single self-help book. Because when I decided to write mine, I said, I'm going to execute on everything I know that works.
Right.
I'm going to run the marathon. I'm going to do the triathlon. I'm going to take my business to top 1%. I'm going to do this. I'm going to hire. Yeah. And I did. So again, I think this is a phase of execution. This decade of my life has been just relentlessly execute on everything you've learned, because all the self-help books are about the same thing.
Yeah.
It's all based on the Bible. Stay away from sin, do good, and just take people with you. Right? And eventually you make it to heaven, Right.
And it's not going to be easy.
It's not going to be easy. And an easy route usually means you're going to go to hell, the path to hell is the difficult path that feels like hell. The path to heaven is the difficult path that feels like hell. Right. Path to hell is the easy path that feels like heaven, right? And then you look at the same thing as the hero, the problem, how they overcome it, and then how they, get the jet, how they get the house, how they get the family, how they get the girl, right? So that's why I feel like for the longest time I was doing this mentorship thing and nothing. And I have a lot of people that do reach out to me too, and they ask for advice. And I can't tell you how many times I have a scheduled call, or out of my busy day, I will call, or they weren't available. It's like, dude, we had this 10:30 scheduled. I went out of my way. I literally cut off some things I could have been doing in the office to call you to talk about. Seemed like you had a problem. Or then they send me this long email and I respond, let's get on a call and talk about it. Never respond to that either. And I'm realizing I did that for a while, and a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
A lot of people, like, they seek the mentorship, but they don't want the mentorship. And I did that for a little bit, and I realized I'd rather just execute what I know. And I kind of feel this is kind of a lonely path recently for me, Greg, to be honest.
Yeah.
Very few relate to you when you're unreasonable. Like, very few want to wake up and do the run with you at 5 a.m. Right. If you do, they show up a couple of times and then they stop because it's uncomfortable. But that is the path we chose. It's kind of lonely.
There's no question about that. Matter of fact, it's a lot like high altitude climbing. You lose the masses at 7,000 feet. You lose the masses.
Yeah. Eagle flies alone.
You when you get to 20,000 feet, there's nobody.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, there's a handful in the world that say, "Sure, let's do it." But I think that's where being alone. We were told that by Geisel when we were 5, and oh, the places you'll go. That being alone is something you'll be a lot. You've got to get used to being in your own mind, in your own space, where there are no crowds. There's no more crowds. You've chosen to be the one-off. Mm-hmm. You've chosen that I don't need this to be comfortable. As a matter of fact, comfort is overrated. Where I really feel alive is when I feel uncomfortable. And that can be destructive. I've played with that. It's like, listen, just because it's uncomfortable doesn't mean it's right.
Right.
It has to be productive toward a higher purpose to be right. Mm-hmm. Then you go, okay, it's uncomfortable, but it's important. It's important. The world of relationships. I want to go here for a minute. I've been really impressed. I've watched you in settings where you'll enter a conversation with somebody who's a relative stranger. And it may look like I'm asleep at the switch, but I'm kind of always lurking and listening and watching at something like Power Players. Your conversation is always important. Mm. It's not how's the weather, it's not small talk, it's not surface. It's like you ask really good questions. You're comfortable with silence. Mm. To me, I think that another aspect of high achievement is when we don't need to be entertained. Mm. All this noise, the best things happen when it's not noisy. When there's clarity of thought, people are on point, they're having a real exchange, and you become intolerant with. It's like eating cotton candy. It just does nothing, and you feel sick. It's like watching a movie that I got a bad feeling, but you sit there for an hour and a half until it's done, and then you really have a bad feeling. Like I just wasted an hour and a half on this stupid movie I wish I could just delete. Mm-hmm. But you can't. You've wasted it. The deliberate choices you make and the way you connect with people, I think, are a key to your success. The conversations, you look people in the eye, you ask important questions, you really care. Can you train that? Is that something you learn, or is it just something you are?
That's a good question, Greg. I don't know. And thanks for saying that. I can tell Power Players, you observe your students a lot. Mm-hmm. And you do. Because some of the games you had us play, I'm like, how does he know this? You put a lot of thought behind it. And that was one of the more self-aware and growing short weekend experience I've had. Mm-hmm. Especially when you go and ask people for their hats and their sunglasses. That was the lesson of you buying this hanger. I loved hearing that story. I don't know, Greg. I think, again, it goes back to that. It's like, when did you fall in love with your spouse? I don't know. Mm-hmm. Was I always seeking certain things in people? Because whenever I get to know somebody, I want to know, like, what industry they're tied to, what ticks them, what's their why. Because everybody knows what to do.
Why do you do it?
Fewer people know how to do it, and very few know why. And then when I meet a person that I'm like, ooh, that person seems like they got good values, good circle, good business, they're making a difference in the community, good coach, good mentor, good something, CEO, president of a company. Again, everybody knows how to do it, but few do it actually, but because of their why. And then I always have this fixation towards somebody's why.
Yeah.
Always. And I always try to ask questions around, why do you do it? But tell me about your family. Tell me about your kids. Because to me, at this point right now, I think it is seasonal, but if I look at right now, like, I do everything possible for family. At this point, like, family. Yeah. Like, I don't work Mondays. It's time with the wife, time with the kids, like weekends. Like, I could work more. I could train more, but that's something I did before. At one point, I was sacrificing time with family for fitness, and then now I'm sacrificing time with fitness for family and for the financial, right, for the business. But to me, an obsession with why, and I think maybe that's what differentiates me a little bit from a lot of people, because my biggest why at this point is, we talked about this beginning of our conversation, is, again, we find what we seek, and we also look for a lot of what we are, which is like, what is my why?
Yeah.
And I wrote it down. I wrote up early in the morning one day, and it was part of my presentation. And at this point, I'm responsible to present to a Fortune 50 company as a keynote speaker at a lot of their territory meetings. Like, some of the rooms I'm walking into, there's like $1 billion in there. Like, there's responsibility in what I say. My words are powerful. So it's like responsibility, Hayk. Now there's people telling you they're reading your book during cancer treatments.
Right.
You're helping them with their divorce.
Right.
Indirectly, like, whoa, like, I have to be careful the message I put out there.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And I woke up early and I wrote the why, and then I have a whole slide. And I remember one time we were driving, and this is when 4 years ago, about my dream car, about a 911 Turbo S. Main reason I wanted that, because I wanted a car that's really fast, that has back seats. And also have an obsession.
They don't have to be much, but they're back seats.
Can they fit my 2 kids in there?
Right,
you know?
exactly.
And I drop off my kids at school.
Yeah.
So Friday we have a tradition. It's a late start at school. I wake up, I cook them breakfast. I do a reading with them. We are reading the Daily Stoic right now, which was a gift from my good friend Alan. And when friends gift books, you use it, right? So it's usually the Bible, or right now the Daily Stoic lesson. On Fridays we do that. Take them to school, and then actually selling the 911. I no longer have back seats, by the way. So my son David, the older one, he's kind of like self-aware now. He has different conversations with kids. One day he goes, "Dad, the kids at school are saying, oh, your dad has a fancy car. Are you guys rich? Dad, are we rich?" And I look at him and look at my son. And this is when they're in the back seat of my car. They're asking me a question. I'm like, "Boys, Mom and I do well. You two are broke."
Sounds like a Shaquille O'Neal answer.
And I share this a lot during my presentation. And I'm like, well, there's a reason why I'm saying this. And Greg, there's a reason why I say that. I'm like, it led me to a good conversation with my kids. And the question I asked my kids after that was, kids are naive. To them, 2 + 2 is 4. But to adults, 2 + 2 is like, well, what kind of a 2 is it? Is it 2 apples? Is it Tuesday? We get very filtered when it comes to, right?
Sure.
Kids are simple.
Yeah.
And when I asked, I'm like, son, if you had a question, let's say Dad does well one day, I have $10 million of real estate I'm going to give to you, or stocks and bonds, inheritance. Or I'll give you the tools to have $1 billion, like you create yourself. And you can teach that to somebody else, because you learn the lessons that are more important. Right. Which one would you rather have? The easy 10 million or the hard 1 billion? The kids are like, of course the billion. But I think with time, the answer would change, because we see how difficult, we get punched in the face enough times, we realize, I'll take the easy way out,
Right.
And my obsession is, my why is like, tomorrow I die. In 30 years I die. Like, what did I stand for? Like, what do people remember me as? What did I stand for, and why? Can I pass down a legacy of lessons? And one of my obsessive sentences is, conditions never come before the mindset. Again, the plane, the house, the cars, that is the end result of what you stand for. And when you stand for good quality things, life has a way of rewarding you with all that condition. So I don't want to leave behind condition. I want to leave behind the lessons, right? Because with those lessons, they can create far more than what I can leave as my conditions. Therefore, I'm obsessed with leaving behind lessons of mindset. And that's why I tell my kids, I'm like, at this point, I am relentlessly obsessed by, one day I go, I want to leave behind lessons that last multi-generational.
Right.
The book, the podcast, that kind of stuff.
I want to assure you of something, and I know I have company by saying this, because somebody's listening to this when they're going to agree with me of saying that you're doing it.
I hope so.
You're doing it. They're going to get a hold of this book. They're going to read it, but I think they're going to read it, and then they're going to come back to this podcast and hear the author with the reading of this. I think the tandem of those things makes it very personal, makes it very real. It's not just I read the words, but I've heard him. I've watched his facial expressions. I see how passionate he is about certain things. And to me, that's the introduction that today provides. But I can tell you that in the community of power players, in the community that you're being talked about a lot, you're leading, and it's awesome. It's absolutely, this is an extension of that. I have the feeling we could stay here for about 3 weeks. I am going to ask, how do people get a hold of you? What vehicle do you make that available as you talk to all these groups and you've done other podcasts, et cetera? How do people connect with you?
Right now, a lot of what I'm doing is like in-house with the insurance industry. So I have a whole coaching platform, but this is just specifically for agents, right? So they have a way of getting hold of me internally. But for the outside world, I mean, the book, it's on Amazon. Social media, pretty active there on Facebook and Instagram. Just Hayk Tadevosyan. Other than that, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Well, I truly, truly appreciate this opportunity. And it's not on your way to anything to come out here to the hangar to be with me this morning. Hayk, I really appreciate it. I know that our paths will cross in many ways. I can't wait for Albert's next fight. That's been a treat to go now twice, and I can attest to the fact that you are his greatest fan. I think you're more nervous than he is when you're there. I watched the two of you. He looks calm. You don't look so calm.
No, for sure.
So,
thank you for having me, Greg. It's an honor.
It's been awesome.
This is great to come spend time with somebody like this that you admire and look up to. So thank you. Means a lot.
Thank you, buddy.